We are live. The star.
No.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Factual Fridays, where we've got one last night of regretful parenting because we can't stand too much more of this.
It just makes me depressed.
Yes. And don't forget to tune in next Wednesday. Very special. We will be at the Kern County Fairgrounds walking around. And since it'll be Woke Wednesdays, who knows what kind of wokeness we'll walk into.
I mean, it's Kern County, so you wouldn't expect too much. But
It can happen.
I mean, you saw the Macy's thing,
Yeah.
this past Pride and everything.
So that'll be a once in a lifetime thing. See us interact face to face with certain situations.
Let us know if you want LongWalk to do some like man in the street style interviews with.
Yeah, let me know. Put it down. Either if you enter the room, put it down in the chat room, or put it into the comments. Let me know. All right, let's just get straight into this today.
The first one that I have is from a person who only has like 8 subscribers. So
Interesting.
Pretty interesting. I started to watch it. It looks like it's pretty quality. I think she's just going over more Reddits and stuff.
Okay. And also, before I get started, I wanted to say thank you to all my new subscribers. I know that I've been doing a new setup with my shorts that's gotten me more, and especially the devotionals in the morning, which I'll be doing pretty much every morning. Sundays, we're still trying to figure out what's gonna be there.
Maybe I'll just do like a 3-parter or something.
Yeah.
3 different religions on the same
Yes.
perspective. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
But otherwise, look for all my devotionals. Look for all my. It goes devotional. It goes just random stuff you see at the monastery, and then past lives.
Not like past lives, but like past live streams.
Yes, past live streams. I've had to fix that myself.
It got me confused, and I'm like, oh, look, interesting. No, it's not.
Yeah. So thank you to all my new subscribers. Feel free to join us on any of these lives. It's for all of you. Just come on in, talk away. We got one normal who comes in a lot, Sancho. He has great content too. Check him out, Sancho's the Ghoul.
Sorry,
and Chatty Charlie, I hope that you're doing well out there. Keep you're in our prayers all the time. We're approaching that line with a new kid on the way too.
It's not a baby goat.
No, with our new baby. With our new baby on the way. I'm so excited with that.
We're at like almost 33 weeks. So
yes.
It's like we have 4 to 5 weeks to go. I mean, it could go a little longer, but I don't feel that it will.
No, I don't think so. So that'll be an interesting thing too. You'll get to see Never getting mad on the sidelines because we're still doing stuff.
Yeah, I want you to see if you can do it on your own and see if I can not get involved. It's gonna be fun. That's the main thing is trying to make me not get involved.
Yep. All right, let's jump into this again. Thank you everybody for all the support.
Welcome back to my series where I read messages from regretful parents. I did receive this as a direct message, and I do have permission to share it here on TikTok. I was always on the fence about whether or not I wanted children. I knew it was not something I needed in the way that some people do. But coming from a big family and marrying into another, it was something that was expected of me. I was always told that my indifference to children was simply because they weren't mine. And once I had my own kids, I'd see that any fears or hesitations I had were unfounded. I was always told it was something I'd get over. About 2 years after we got married, my husband and I started trying to get pregnant. It didn't happen easily and wound up turning into years of fertility treatments and 2 miscarriages. I told my husband that if what we were trying didn't work, I was not willing to put myself through IVF. Instead of supporting my decision, he would dismissively say, "We'll see," and implied that it was a deal breaker if I didn't do everything humanly possible to see this through. Truth be told, I was worried about getting pregnant for a lot of reasons. One, because my husband was such a workaholic, and I worried that he prioritized his job over his family. I made it clear that I wanted our kids to have an actual father, unlike his, who thought that providing a paycheck and doing absolutely nothing else counted as being a good father. We had several conversations about my expectations of him as a parent, especially because I was so unsure of how much I actually wanted to be one. But he insisted he did, and 2 weeks after we accepted an out of state relocation for his job, I found out I was pregnant. We moved just weeks before I gave birth to our son. And as if a relocation at 8 months pregnant wasn't stressful enough, the company I worked for went back on their promise to let me stay on as a remote worker. They let me work right up until my due date and then locked me out of the system, telling me to contact them if and when you find daycare, despite knowing that daycare had never been part of my plan. And even if it had, they'd just taken away my means to pay for it. I had horrific PPD, and to this day, I have never felt worse. My son was a miserable baby with terrible colic and acid reflux. He slept only in 1 hour.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this. For one, it is what you make it. Okay, so these people going on saying this thing still start trying to like really mean. Okay, I got it. Okay, these I think it's good. I don't know. Can you look?
Get it caught up. Oh no, you're like way off. No, I can't see you. So I need to go probably the opposite direction. Find out. Hang on. There we go.
Good.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Now listen, it is what you make of it. Okay. If you go in this feeling miserable about everything that's happened, feeling robbed, then yes, the kid is going to come out miserable and not cooperative. It's the way things work.
It's yeah, you definitely can. Is he allowed to have it? You definitely end up manifesting physical symptoms. You know, like the babies will get colic and stuff from the stress because they feel the stress from the mother. You know, the negative. Just wait for this to pass.
Sorry, people.
Apparently, snack time for the guru.
Just take them both out.
Yeah, take them both out.
Take it all out.
Maybe just get rid of that.
Any last one?
I don't know.
Let's see.
Sorry, people. I'm just hungry.
I'm gonna see a bunch of hair on it. It's probably
No,
okay.
there's no hair at all.
God.
10-second rule. All right, now.
Anyway, yeah. So the physical manifestations of colic and not sleeping well and everything is just always going to come from the stress from the situation that you're in. You know, like the mother's stressed and they feel that. He had a couple of incidents where he was really, really clingy when we were not in a good place.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's definitely a thing. Now, I have to say that if she was definitely having trouble conceiving to begin with, and despite having fertility treatments and everything, it's like then I would take that as a sign, you know? So that really kind of sucks that she still was pressured into it at that point, because I agree that if nature is not cooperating, if it doesn't just happen naturally, then it's not probably meant to happen.
Yeah.
So trying to force it is never going to be a good thing. But it did happen, and she did end up that way, and so how can you be regretful of it?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, just simply
make the most of it.
Yeah, exactly. Having kids is a blessing. I mean, you know, we got one wonderful son right here, and we got another one on the way. You know, thankfully enough.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's like that wasn't planned. You know, it was like, and really, I didn't think it was going to happen because of my age. I was told that everybody in my family was done by the age of 30, so.
Yeah, so he said, well, it's worth a shot. We'll see what we can do, and it might take a while. Well, it took the first couple tries.
Right. It was like I said, it wasn't even like we weren't trying. That's the crazy thing. I think that's part of it. I think these people end up in these positions because they're trying too hard.
Yes, they are.
It's definitely like a faith-based thing. Like I was okay with the outcome so long as I knew that nature was done with me.
Yeah.
Like I had to know that it was a natural bowing out process. I could accept it then. But to have like man-made interventions and realize that I'd been coerced and everything all these years in an opposite direction, that was like what was really bothering me.
Exactly. I mean, that's a big thing.
Yeah. So I think it's like if she was in a better mindset, If they were in a better
Yes, for sure.
faith set, then it would have been a different story.
They need to be on the same page. That's the biggest takeaway from this.
Yeah, that was just kind of crappy for him to keep trying to pressure her into
Yeah.
it. When there's, I mean, because from what I understand, fertility treatments are not very pleasant either.
No, but I mean, she needs to be very clear on her position too. And if they're not meant to stay together, they're not meant to stay together.
I mean, she said she had several conversations, but I mean, like.
Well, yeah, but then that just might mean that it might be a deal breaker for both of them.
Right. I mean, like, no is no if you really mean
Yeah.
it. You know.
So it might just be a deal breaker and be like, okay, I guess we need to split ways because this isn't going to work out.
He wants children. She's not
Yeah.
doing it. So yeah, exactly. You should not be trying to force that on anybody.
Hour stretches and cried the rest of the time. My thyroid was out of whack, but no one wanted to see me before the 6-week mark, so I dropped down to 96 pounds and couldn't make enough breast milk. I also had a pinched nerve in my back that made walking painful, wasn't sleeping, could barely find time to eat, and the worst part was I was 100% alone. My husband got 2 weeks of paternity leave, and that was it. He went back to work as if I wasn't a shell of myself, being terrorized by my hormones and an endlessly crying baby. He was awful to me.
Again, I know that she was like, this wasn't going to happen and I said this and that, but she's not making it a deal breaker. She's not saying, listen, if you're going to go to work like that, be like, your father was, then we're done here.
Yeah, that definitely, like Jordan Peterson said, like negotiations, right?
Yes.
Like, if you want this, then this is how it's going to be. Otherwise, it is not going
To be, yes, exactly.
So yeah, it just makes me think that if she got herself into this position, then it's just like you weren't clear, or you did make a deal to do this. And
yeah, for sure. I mean, otherwise you fully agree to it, and it's on you. If he's working and you're just not saying much about him working, then it's on you.
Yeah, it is your mental health, your body, your livelihood, your entire experience is hinging on that. Has to be the negotiation.
Exactly.
To me to boot. After being awake with the baby all night, I would beg him to stay home a little longer so I could get some sleep. And he would say, "You already lost your job. I can't lose mine." One day, upon coming home to find both me and the baby crying, no dinner on the table, and me still in my pajamas, he said, "I don't understand why everyone else can do this, but you can't." I felt like he'd physically slapped me. When I begged him to let me hire someone to help with the baby, he replied, "Why? So you can really do nothing all day?" I was so angry at him, but so angry with myself for believing him when he promised to be a good dad. I wished that he had been honest with me and with himself, that his need to be a father was more about his need to appear perfect than it ever was about a desire to be a parent. He didn't want to be a father, he wanted to be able to say he was a father. But by the time he proved that, it was too late to turn back. I was a married single parent, and my own husband was letting me drown. I honestly think we'd be divorced if he'd not had his own bout with depression a couple of years after mine. He realized how horribly he treated me and that I wasn't weak or exaggerating what I'd gone through. He's a much better partner now, but I can't say I don't still harbor resentment for having to shoulder the burden of parenting.
Again, because you did not put your foot down. You did not say, this is how it's going to be, and I really am trying. I mean, he gave you the opportunity to say stuff by saying, what do you do that's so hard? Then you lay it out for him.
Yeah.
You say, listen, if you think it's so easy, you stay home.
Yeah.
I mean, there's ways. And if you don't do that, then you can't feel sorry for it.
Yeah, and she's feeling regretful of the situation, and she's feeling resentful toward the husband, and
yes,
you have to take some very serious accountability.
Exactly.
And again, make the most of it and see that there has been some change, and then bend a little bit, and then maybe he'll step up some, and then you'll bend a little bit more, and
exactly. I mean, we've done a lot of that.
Negotiate, for sure.
Alone for so long. No matter how much I love my son, my life isn't my own. My husband has never once had to consult with me before scheduling an appointment. He has never been sick and had to drag our son to the walk-in with him because he had no one to watch him. He has never spent all day in the hot sun making magical memories, only to come home exhausted and still cook dinner. I have done all of the
That's
above, and there's no end in sight. Everyone who told me my fears about parenthood were unfounded was dead wrong. And the worst part is, I think they knew it. I wanted to submit my story as I feel it might be interesting, and due to my experiences, I feel passionately about being open and honest about parenting and motherhood. Since I was very young, I always saw kids and a husband in my future. It was something I didn't question. I have a big family and am surrounded by younger cousins, so very used to having babies and young children around. In my early 20s, I met my now husband. We have always had a healthy and respectful relationship and were friends before we started dating. We decided to have a child as it's something we both wanted. I got the biggest shock of my life having my child, to say the least. My life looks entirely different to how I imagined. The first 18 months of motherhood were the most unhappy and anxious I have ever been. I fortunately had never experienced poor mental health before, so this hit particularly hard. Motherhood honestly has been exhausting both physically and mentally in ways I don't think you can imagine until you do it, and there is no off switch. It's important to say we have a decent household income, so don't struggle for basics, have irregular but some family help, and have friends close by with young children, but still find it incredibly challenging. My child is a good kid with no health conditions, behavioral challenges outside of being a toddler, or any additional needs. For most of motherhood, I
So
have
you're
felt
saying there's
unequipped
no
in that it
excuse.
is me that is lacking. I do my best every single day to give my child a good life and can recognize her great qualities. However, it is a substantial effort every day to get up and back on the never ending hamster wheel. Life is monotonous and tiring, and most days don't go how we would like, even when we think we have planned something fun and fulfilling for our child. My approach now is a constant, intentional effort to accept where I am and the life I have, and that I chose this. Otherwise, I don't think I could keep going. This may sound ungrateful, and it might well be, but not one person in my life with children spoke like this until I had children. And then the discourse around the difficulties started when I opened up about struggling, feeling it was my inadequacy. We need to be honest and stop painting a romanticized picture of motherhood. You might love it, but you might struggle, and plan for that. Get yourself a village if you can, and stop putting unrealistic expectations on 21st century mothers who also likely work full time. I waited to have a child until I was 43.
Okay, see, that's part of the problem. Being a stay-at-home mom is a full-time job. You could not work full-time and expect to come home and take care of the
Is she
kid.
working also?
Yeah, she said
Yeah,
I am a
there's no
full.
way.
She said I'm a full-time mother. Or
Well,
not mother. I'm a full-time work. I work full-time and then come home to take
yeah,
care of
there's
the kid.
just no way. In order to get the full experience, it's like you have to like be there
Yes,
every day. It's a totally different experience that way.
and that's what a lot of these new age mothers don't understand. It's like, how am I supposed to work and then come home? You're not. You're supposed to take care of your kid.
Right. It's like the trad wife thing. I was watching a little bit about that today, and it's like, trad wife isn't particularly traditional. I would say that
Yeah.
you and I are more traditional, but the trad wife thing is like its own brand. And a lot of women, they feel the pressure. They're like, oh, I see this. This is how I'm supposed to be, but I can't really afford to do that yet. So I'm going to work the whole time and try to be the trad wife.
Yeah, see?
And it's like, no, you do what the trad wives are doing, and they make what they do as a trad wife into a business, and they collect money from like YouTube, TikTok, or whatever. They become influencers.
See, that's better.
You're working from home.
Yeah, the ones that you always see like doing the videos with their kids
or doing like most commonly the trad wife thing is they wear like these really fancy clothes, and they speak really really soft, and then they go and they make handmade meals and everything. Yeah. And they show it's like they do it's a whole brand.
Yeah, for sure.
And but they make money doing that, so they're not stupid. They're not like stepping outside. They're still becoming financially independent. They still have their own money and everything. So
that's good. That's a good step for the mothers that are used to being able to rely on themselves.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's exactly. It's a good medium. So it's like, if you want to make your own money, do stuff online, do stuff from home, and still be at home, be present in your children's lives.
There you go.
and make sure that your husband's being shepherded in the right direction.
But it's like a lot of them, if they don't work, they lose their mind. I can't do this because I'm not working. I'm
But
not.
you are, it's
Yeah.
like you are working, you are managing things, you're learning so many skills that are actually useful in the workforce outside
Yes.
of the home. It's like you are using all of those skills between, not just like, people management of schedules, management of food, it's just like all of these things. And then practical skills, cooking, cleaning,
Yes.
mediation, all of these
Exactly.
practical things. You're working so hard.
Especially when the mediation really comes in if you have more than one kid.
Right, exactly. You're like a bunch of animals.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, hold on now. What's going on here? Why are you swatting at each other? That cat, it's like, it's okay. It's your space. But
don't go over there.
That's the main thing. It's like we were watching that lady that had to have all those things released from the love gurus,
Yep.
And it was remember her relationships failed, and
Yes.
she felt like she wanted to be a mother and all this, but she's like, I have to work. I have to make this work. I have to make money.
I know, and that's ridiculous.
It's really important for me to be financially independent. I'm like, well, then make it work from home.
Exactly.
Step outside of it and find a different way.
Yes.
Don't work for the freaking workforce. Don't work for the government.
I know.
It's like, don't do that. Just, there's other ways to make money. People in our tribes have done that for thousands of years. The men would make the bulk of the money, but women would make different crafts. Like,
yes,
whatever
yes,
they had
that's
in their
a big
region.
thing. And I mean, especially like the natives and stuff.
Yeah, and then you trade with other tribes for either their stuff or you sell it to outsiders for money. And
exactly.
That's what's happening for just thousands of years, and it's still happening down like in the Amazon and everything.
I was about to say that there was a couple of tribes where they made like handmade little boats and stuff.
Yeah, and so then they go and they go down the river into the city and they sell their stuff and they come back and they live their rural life. There are ways. And I keep getting so frustrated by people saying that either they don't want to have kids or they don't want to stay home because they can't afford it. Like, you have to make some deep cuts.
Yes, you do.
I assure you that you can.
Exactly.
That's just, it bugs me.
I know.
Great. I didn't want kids because I came from an extremely toxic family environment, and I never wanted to hurt a child in the way that I was hurt. Over my life, though, I started to get treated very badly by my family for not having children. Comments were made about my health and sexual past in reference to my fertility by family members and in our community. I come from a very small community where everyone is in everyone's business. 3 years ago, I was attacked by a stranger. He chased me in a car for over 40 miles at speeds of 114 miles per hour and cornered me in a gas station in the middle of nowhere. It was the most traumatizing and horrific experience of my life. No one helped me. I reached out to family and friends, and no one helped me. Then one day, a social media friend asked me if I was okay, and he offered the support I was so desperately needing. I clung to him immediately. I needed an anchor and safety because I felt so scared to exist in this world. He immediately moved in with me and started controlling my life. He moved me out of my house and into his home. We were married and pregnant within a month. I was going through PTSD and anxiety.
Mormon?
And then I
within
added
a month.
sickness and changing hormones.
Are they
to
Mormon?
it. When I told my family that I was married to a complete stranger and pregnant, they all reacted with relief and happiness. I was called and congratulated over and over. I didn't want to tell anyone that he was already being cruel.
Yeah, great family that is like, this happened within a month, and her family's congratulating her, probably because they never thought that she would get married or have kids.
So any husband right is better than like no husband at all. And
so, I mean, oh my God, somebody took her. So
I know.
That is amazing.
Like
she's not going to be alone forever.
Yeah, I don't get the familial pressure there. It's like I get like encouraging them if you can kind of see if that's the direction that they're headed, but I just don't understand that judgment of whether you're not getting married or you're not having children. And it's like, then whose fault is that? Why didn't you raise them to want that? What did you do that made them not want that? No
if it's anything like our parents, you already know why.
Yeah, it's like, selfishness. Just
yes.
selfishness.
Yes.
and cheating on me because they were all so happy for me and kept telling me that I finally have happiness. My husband ended up openly cheating on me throughout my pregnancy and was very verbally and emotionally abusive. When I was 3 months pregnant, I
That
decided
sucks.
that this wasn't for me, and while he was at work, I packed up my things and moved home. It
See?
was a horrible time for me, though. I was so sick with morning sickness that I lost 25 pounds and I was fainting. Driving was scary and difficult because I would get dizzy at any time. My body ached all the time.
It happened.
I had pains in my legs, back, and stomach through my whole pregnancy, along with a rash on my torso that would last my entire pregnancy. I hated everything about my pregnancy. I feared even meeting my baby because I was so horrified about my feelings toward pregnancy and my body. I wanted my original body and life back. My husband would come in and out of my life during this time. He would act nice and then start getting abusive and then ghost me. This was the routine of our whole relationship, but as my due date neared, he kept saying he would come. He didn't, though, until right on my induction date. He stayed for the birth, which was a C section after 3 days in labor. He signed the
It's
God.
birth
stress.
certificate.
It's all
Yeah.
stress.
He has seen
Even
our
the
son
rash.
twice in
Yeah.
his whole life since his birth. Once at our son's first Christmas, and once on his.
So what happens is when you gain any kind of fat, it retains cortisol, which is like a stress hormone that's released.
Yes.
And anxiety. It used to only be released if we were being chased and like fearing for our lives. But now it's released for every little stress and inconvenience.
Because the body doesn't know the difference.
Right. So I know that she said that she lost weight, but it's inevitable that you will put on some fat stores, right? And so cortisol is stored in the fats and makes more fats. And it's like everything that she's talking about with having the rash and the inflammation and the leg pain and the dizziness,
Yeah.
all of that is just coming from the cortisol, the stress.
See?
So then that's why she also had 3 days of intense labor.
Yeah, because it just dragged everything on.
Yeah.
And
So it's like that is why it's like, I mean, I'm good with stress. Like I've dealt with it
Yeah.
my entire life. So even getting spikes of stress, it's like that's about the peak for me. I don't stay in stress
yeah.
because it will do that. It will wreck you, and on top
Oh
of
God, yeah, well.
sleeping and everything, so it's like very, very, very important to maintain a minimal stress environment. And I know that life isn't ideal, but you can train your mind to just say this is not as important as what's going on here.
Exactly.
We went through a fire.
Yes.
And it's like you can train yourself, and it's like that's what these women need. That's the kind of support they need, is to train yourself. That nothing else is really important right now besides
Yes.
carrying this through. So just let it go. You'll deal with it later.
That's great advice. Listen, women.
Hold on, let the dogs howl.
What's going on tonight?
I don't know. Something's lurking. What is that light
Where?
on the road by Nancy's?
That's Nancy's light.
Well, there's a big light and there's one that's kind of moving. Do you see it?
On the first.
Camera 1.
I see the big one.
And the stuff next to it. See, it's like, is it her fence light again, or?
Show me where on the camera. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
This right here. It's kind of the car that's sitting there. See?
Oh, and there's probably Nancy was coming home a little bit ago, I'm sure.
It's facing.
Yeah, she's probably coming into the yard. She had to open the gate, close the gate.
It's probably the one thing. Yeah, it's weird.
That type of thing.
Yeah. Dogs are amazing.
They are. All right.
His first Father's Day. I handle everything. Everything. I hate it all. This is the exact life I didn't want and avoided,
But you
but I
manifested
still
it.
ended up
Yep,
here.
you did.
You
I
manifest.
want to ask my family if this is all the happiness they ever had, because I have had so much happiness in my life that didn't involve a child or man. I have had the most amazing adventures and the best feelings ever before I ever had a child. I remember the old me and the things I did, the carefree, adventurous nature I
Yeah, but
had,
that can't last
and I
forever.
want to
No.
go back so badly.
That's
My
not good.
body
You
is
cannot live in the
different.
past.
My mind
No,
is
you
different.
can't.
My heart is definitely different. I love my child and I am so grateful for this experience, but I honestly believe that I wasn't supposed to be a mother. This isn't happiness for me.
But you are.
I want to be happy again, so I think of my life before and I miss me.
Happiness is what you live in, ladies and gentlemen. Happiness is how you make it. This woman saying, "Oh, I want to go back to when I was happy, without kids." That's a lie. Happiness is how you make it.
It's you don't know, like, how, I don't know. You just don't know how you're gonna feel if you were to go back. I mean,
Yeah.
that can't last forever. Those adventurous years, and it's like,
What if you would have died if you didn't have a kid?
right? And this is only a snapshot in time. She will have time.
Yeah.
Afterwards to have her more adventures and everything. They act like life is gonna end by the time you're the age of 40. Like
That's what they think.
you're gonna not gonna be able to move.
I know.
We're gonna be close to 60.
And we'll still have time.
But in my family side, that we were, they're still really young and spry. I mean, mountain climbing, and my mother worked all the way through.
Yes.
I mean, we don't, on my side of the family, we don't really start showing age or slowing down until like around the age of 75. And then we just die.
Yeah.
It's done.
Just die.
It's like, we're just like, that's it. And I think that's a better way to go. But
I agree.
no slow decrepity or anything, just dead.
Yes. Yes.
I know that's selfish, but I do.
Half an hour.
I know now that I have a child how worthy of love I always was, how worthy of space and time I was all by myself.
Which
I
is
hope that I can provide a good, stable, and positive environment for my child. I hope I am hiding this anger and frustration at the reality of motherhood really well, because I never want to hurt my child. I have a son. This scares me too. This world is made for him, and he will never be asked what his purpose is in this world. Will he end up like his father? A replica of all the no-good deadbeats that are around us?
Raise him better.
Will I release something on the world that will wreak havoc?
Okay, why question it? Raise him better.
Yes, if he will not.
Yes,
like
be that change. If you're like, is he gonna follow our family patterns? Is he gonna be a narcissist? Is he gonna be, a liar, a cheater? Change it. Be that change that you want to see.
When we see the worst of our qualities start to manifest in him, we curb it and we
Yes.
say, no, you're not going to do the same things that we've done. And it's like, this is what we did and this is what happened.
Exactly.
It's not like we're just going to say, no, you can't do those things. It's like, if you choose to do those things, this is where you're going to end up. This is the mindset you're going to have. It's almost inevitable.
Exactly.
That you will have insurmountable struggles if you continue doing what you're doing. So, you just have to curb that. So many people use that as an excuse too. They were raised in a toxic family. They saw how their mother treated them. They don't want to pass that on. Then don't. You're conscious of it.
Exactly.
And the fact that they're conscious of it pretty much proves that it wouldn't happen.
Yes, it does.
Because what they were raised by, the narcissistics, those people never admitted their wrongdoing. They never stepped outside the box.
No, they would never.
Their children do. So it's pretty much, it's like, it's a given that you're not going to be that bad. But excuses.
I mean, we've fixed a lot of what's happened to us in our past.
Yeah, we had toxicity,
traumas, toxicities, you name it. Pretty much, one of us had it.
And it's like I still have very serious flare-ups of distrust and suspicion, and it's like it's on my part to change my mindset. It's on you to change the behavior that has made me insecure.
Yes.
And it's up to me to be able to release those fears and insecurities and to make sure that it doesn't affect him.
Exactly.
And that doesn't mean going and fighting in another room or pretending, or just not fighting at all, or pretending that everything is okay.
See, that's just it. That's the key. It's solving the actual problem.
You've seen us fight at night, and then we wake up together in the morning, and everything in life goes on.
Another Jordan Peterson thing.
I was so shocked with that. Yeah. It's the only
talking about that no matter what, if it's a productive fight, it is fine to do around the kids. If the kids see you better for it, It is fine.
It shows you coming through real adversity, where it's like, no,
Yes.
he sees that I'm like struggling, that I'm really distrustful, and you maintain your ground, and we work our way through it.
Yes,
you
we
know?
do.
It's like you say, okay, this is what I need to change, and so I'll change it, and he sees that you change it.
Yes,
Like he's not just hearing it, he's witnessing it.
exactly.
And so it's like using that as an excuse of having a toxic family doesn't fly. Is the same as any of it, same as the economic reason.
Yes,
You make it work. You just make it work.
exactly.
And there's a great joy in that, and you don't know how strong you are
Until you do it.
until you come through that.
Yes, I fully agree.
I mean, really, honestly, sorry, like how many people do you know that have actually struggled and come through that?
Not very many.
But the ones that do, they don't sit there and say that it was a bad experience.
No, never.
They all say that this was worth it.
Yes.
But now they don't even try. They just shy away from it.
No, because they'd rather sit and wallow in their pity, saying, "Oh, poor me. Look, I can't do it."
Victimhood mentality. Yeah, we live in a society where it seems like the more victim points you have racked up, the more favored you are.
The better,
And
yes.
so this is another version of that, I feel.
It fully is, yes.
Like my mother-in-law, I think I will always regret becoming a parent. I knew how it would be all along, and it's worse.
There's parents out there who don't even like their kids.
Let's talk about it. I was at my goddaughter's sweet 16 party a few months ago. I was speaking with an elderly lady because she was like, "Oh, when are you having the next one, etc." And I was like, "Honestly, I've already made my masterpiece. There is no part 2." And she commended me because she was like, "You know what? I should have had the same mentality as you." And she's like, "Not that I regret my children," but she has 5. She's like, "Not that I regret my children, but I should have stopped at 2." And I was like, "Wow, well, that's really insightful of you and very honest. Thank you for sharing that with me." And she was like, "I don't know which 2, but I had 5 children. It was too many children. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was too young. Everyone was just telling me, have your kids, have your kids. Kids are important." And she wasn't really thinking long term. She was just more thinking like, this is what she is supposed to do. Now, with that said, the person who I stitched this with, like, I understand there's some people who regret having their children, and, that's something that they have to figure out and work through. But also, I do think that things are changing, where a lot of women who once felt obligated, like, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is what I'm here for, I'm supposed to procreate and make children, be fruitful. I think it's now changing, where women are now feeling more empowered to be like, you know what, this is not for me. This is not the life I want. And I think there's tremendous courage because there's so many people out here like, you need to have kids, you need to, all of this.
I'm not hearing it.
And at the end of the day, there's some people out here full on regretting having their children. I'm not trying to judge, but I just think that it's super insightful that some people are taking the time to really process and understand what it is to be a parent and bringing a person, because people think it's a baby, but bringing a real person, a living person into this world and everything that comes with. So yeah, shout out to you guys who choose not to have children.
No, not shout out.
Shout out to those who do have children. And for those who regret having their children, I hope you find some type of peace and seek therapy to work through this.
So I'm scrolling through the Regretful Parents subreddit, which has always been kind of a fascinating subreddit that I try not to read too often because it makes me sad. It's hard though to see people regretting such permanent choices. This one says, "I love my daughter, but this isn't for everyone. I miss my space, a quiet house. I miss my old body. I miss the person I was before her. Being a parent is the hardest thing ever, and your kids will never."
It's said in our religion that the root of all sorrow is desire.
Yes.
And so to desire something, especially something that's unattainable, because sorrow is something that you will never have back. You will never have ever. That's like what the deep sorrow is.
Yep.
So it's like to desire your old body, to desire your quiet house, and to desire your space. It's literally only going to breed sorrow and regret.
And that's all self-worth. It's all the, what do you call it, being selfish. because you just want back something that was yours.
Right, instead of
Never mind that you just brought this new life into the world that could become the next whatever president.
Right, exactly. They don't focus on the things that they've gained.
Exactly.
It's always what they've lost.
Yes.
You cannot live in that state for any reason. It's
No, you can't.
We've had a lot of bad loss, and it's you just have to understand. It's I still have this, and I still continue for this.
Yes.
It's not good to live in a state of regret or a state of sorrow.
No, it's not,
because it just brings more darkness, and it's I think a lot of this is undiagnosed depression, really.
Yeah, it is. A lot of it you can see in the people what it is.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Never understand how hard it is unless they have become parents themselves. There are so many things about my life right now that I love so much that I wouldn't trade for the world. I love my quiet apartment in the city. I love my freedom. This is why we deserve more comprehensive education on what it is and what it really means to be a parent, so people aren't left surprised and disappointed that it isn't everything that they thought it would be.
It's not really something you can explain either.
No.
Sometimes on the show, I like to read questions and quandaries from the clueless souls.
Okay.
Where were you? Oh.
It's right there.
Yeah, it's not really something that you can explain because each experience is relatively different.
Exactly.
Depending on your culture, depending on your geographical location. So making literature and educating people on what might be still might not be their experience.
No, it might not be.
Sometimes you just have to learn on the fly,
I did.
Yeah.
I know you did.
Yeah. It was, like I said, it was a lot easier because I had animals. And it was literally not that much different than being up with the animals. So, it's kittens today. I'm trying to type and they're crawling up my arm and they're holding onto my hand. I just have to keep doing what I'm doing, working on my stuff.
And then there's him, DS in front.
Right. So yeah, it was they start going through that grabby stage, and that's nothing,
No.
But for you, it took you about 3 months or so to start to get comfortable with
having
waking up and changing them.
Yeah.
And and it's been just on the go, and you've learned every step of the way.
Yeah, I'm 100% better than I was when I first started.
Yeah, you're afraid of him.
Yeah,
to sit square with the thing here.
I know, I'm trying to.
And sit where you don't go with the camera because the camera has to be cockeyed. Hold on. I'll check you again here. See, because you end up way off to the side over here if you're not sitting. Don't go with the camera. Sit right over here where we started. Right.
Yeah, this is where.
And don't lean because you're leaning.
I know.
And you didn't start off leaning.
No.
Just want to make sure you stay in your box. But yeah, you learned on the fly.
Yes.
And it's been 14 years of trial and error and some bumps and scrapes along the way, but
Yeah.
you learn.
Exactly.
So yeah, I don't think that there's a way to prepare people for that experience. They just
No.
They just have to. You just
you just have to go. And some of them it's let's see how to put this. It's there should be a manual on how to do it.
There kind of is.
Yeah, but in most terms, you just have to do it.
Yeah.
And see where your niche is, how you do it.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's going to vary from culture to culture, from household to household, from geographical location, whether you live in the city or the country, what your job has been. It's just going to be. It's so varied. There's no one experience.
Exactly.
But there is kind of a manual. I guess if you read the Bible, I guess it's kind of a manual.
Yeah.
There's guidelines going back for thousands of years and how they should be treated and how they should respect you and you should raise them, not to be children, but to be adults. You're raising adults, the productive members of your community.
Yes.
Whether it's your tribe or your government, whatever you decide to, lay your foundation.
Yes.
Because some people are really into that. Some people have children and it's expected they go into the military.
I've seen it.
Some people have children and it's expected that they go into politics.
Yeah.
It's we have the expectation that he goes out and does what he needs to do, and then brings back that information to build the monastery more here and take
better place and
take that over.
Yes.
And make it his and teach his own offspring to do those things.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like that's the expectation.
Yes.
And I guess because of the new woke age, people are really rebelling against the idea of children being born with expectations.
Well, they're rebelling against the idea of children being born.
It's true. It's true. That is really kind of the next one I want to do is about antinatalism. It's pretty crazy. It's like they're really like it's just like a whole darker side to the whole thing here. So, all right, Matt Walsh.
Yep.
On the internet, especially Reddit, and try my best to provide them with a little bit of guidance. And that was the plan that I had for this segment. But then my producer, McKenna, suggested that I go to the subreddit called Regretful Parents to find some fodder. I did as she recommended, and I can report that it is one of the most depressing places I've ever encountered on the internet, which is obviously saying a lot. Just post after post after post of parents who view their children as nothing but a burden. And I thought, well, I'm not going to attempt to talk about this on the show. It's so bleak and so horrific. But then I decided that maybe I might have a useful thing or two to say to these people. Sadly, a sizable number of parents feel this way. We like to think that no one ever regrets having kids. Actually, they do. And when that happens, it is a terrible thing. Terrible for the kids, most important. So I'm going to start by reading a few of the posts or snippets of posts. I hate mothering. I enjoy maybe 1% of it. It's given me misery on top of pain every single day since she was born. Giving birth was medieval torture. I don't like playing with her. I don't like talking to her. I don't like taking her to the park. I can barely think about anything I enjoy with her. Maybe cooking for.
Okay, this one line is sad. I don't like taking her to the park. The park should clear everyone's mind. Right. That should be the one place that you should be able to be, and it doesn't matter. I mean, you should be able to be a lot of places with your own kid, and it doesn't matter. But the park should really be that one place.
It's just a place of playing in
Peace.
Nature.
Yeah.
You know, going out in nature is like the best thing to do to like reset. So yeah, it's definitely like undiagnosed depression, like manic depression, or
very much so. Yes.
Yeah, and it kind of comes into play with like how they say that they're trying to say that, you know, the suicide rate among trans and teen trans is like really high. Like, look across the board. Like,
it's high in everybody.
Yeah.
Every set.
Yeah. I mean, particularly teens and children.
Yes.
But it has gone up over the years. It's like we have more stuff and we have more mental health available and we have more suicides.
Exactly.
You know, so it's not, it's, you know, it's just, this is that's undiagnosed.
Yes, it is.
Depression, anxiety, manic, you know, disorders.
Yes.
That's sad. It's really hard to get through some of these.
It's bleak.
Very.
For her, I don't even know. Another says, my kids are 1 and 3 and they took away everything I enjoyed. I'm going through the wildest mental and physical challenges of my life. I had goals and dreams that are not realistic anymore. All my favorite activities are replaced by draining micro tasks, and it's grinding me to my knees every day. Someone else says, if I only knew this subreddit existed, I probably could have avoided the biggest regret of my life, which is becoming a mother. I feel so tied up.
Okay, now you told me about the thing, and I've seen it too. But it's a person that's going around offering either formula or alcohol.
Yeah.
And this is why.
Right.
Because most of the parents would choose the alcohol.
Most of them did. I think there was only one guy that chose the formula.
Yes. And if you chose the formula, he gave you money too.
$50,000.
$50,000 because
for doing the right thing.
The right choice.
Yeah, this guy
because
just go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, because he offered. He walks up to people and like, well, would you take this formula? It was people's kids, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you take this formula, this set of formula, or would you take the booze? And because of all of this, is why most parents take the booze.
Right. The stress.
Because I have to drink to keep my sanity. You drink to lose your sanity.
Right. Right. There's no good that comes from that.
It keeps you in this loop. This is why.
And they walked away from $50,000.
Yeah, they didn't know. I mean, they'll never know.
No. It's like
doing the right thing is what it's all about. Knowing what the right thing is and doing it, even if somebody isn't going to give you something, is what it's about, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, you got to make sacrifices and you got to make decisions and just be living a righteous path.
Yes.
Like one of the things that I made from my video today was exactly that, about living a righteous path.
Exactly.
And like the sacrifices that are made to have that peace, there's usually things that aren't good for you anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, how, I mean, if you're going to have to sacrifice something, why not cut something out that's not going to serve you any? In my case, I was making an analogy for like sodas and pork. That was the things that I got rid of when I first started my sanctification. And the sodas was easy. Like within a week, if you offered me a soda, didn't want it,
Still.
The pork was a little bit harder because it's in everything.
Yeah.
But like those aren't good for me anyway.
Exactly.
Even when I would accidentally eat something that had pork, I knew.
I think the hardest one that you've come across and that every now and again you end up wanting is pepperoni.
Yeah.
On pizza.
Right. That's what was my downfall. I went 7 months without being. I was completely kosher, and that was my downfall. Was the pepperoni on pizza. But the thing is like those aren't good for me anyway. So the sacrifice is like, it's not that bad.
No, it's not.
So it's the same thing with them. It's like you look at the things that you want to get rid of. You should probably not be drinking. You shouldn't be drugging. You shouldn't be spending so much time on the internet. None of those things are good for you anyway.
No, they're not.
So sacrifice them in the name of something better and watch what happens. It's like you get so much more out of it. I don't know, but it's like I say it all the time. Nobody wants to suffer anymore.
One of the lines in Luke that we just read, and I can't remember it now. I had it, and then it's gone now. But it fit perfectly with this. And I mean, a lot of Luke does.
Yeah, it's very, very gritty. I like it.
But it was something that Jesus said, and I'm sure if you keep watching my devotionals, I'll say it in one of the devotionals coming up here.
Was it the one from today?
No, it was a couple of days.
Like, how much longer must I deal with you, cursed and wretched?
Yeah,
people?
That one's a good one too. But it was to do with, do good even if
nobody's watching. Right.
And then you will be rewarded in heaven.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, if you don't believe in the biblical sense of that, you're still rewarded now.
Yeah.
Life gets so much better for you.
It does.
It's like I can't like convince anybody that, but it's true. It's like even if you have very little and you give of yourself and give away your very little, oh my God.
Well, it's because
you can't believe the stuff that comes back to you.
Exactly. And adults in this day and age get the biblical and the sense knocked out of them. That is it.
Right.
They are taught not to believe it, that just take what you have right now. It's way better than anything that's to come.
Right.
You're not going to get rewarded later on.
But that's exactly my point. Because, like I said, even there's no real written promise for us for doing our good deeds.
No.
There's no promise of a heaven or even really an afterlife. We just kind of assume that it'll be good and we'll be rewarded, but we do it anyway, know, and we do it because we see the rewards here on earth in real time. We don't have the anxiety.
Yes, we don't.
We don't have, we struggle, but we don't have like the worry
exactly
that they do. And it's like we have so much that comes to us in other forms of karmic gifts and so it's like even if they don't believe in the Bible at all, it's like there's still karma.
Exactly.
You still see the fruits of your sacrifice right now, right here. You don't have to wait to die and go to heaven. You can see it right now.
Yes.
But nobody wants to suffer.
No.
So they'll never know. And it just drives me crazy. It's so sad.
Yes, I know. And another one pops in my head again from the Bible, only because that's what we're reading at the moment. But it's Moses, and it's him with still taking care of the group that he has, still getting them to wherever they need to go to, hear God, to be with God, even though he will not get into the promised land himself.
Yep, he was told.
He was already told this, but yet he'll still do it.
Yep. And he was told, you will not make it, and he was told why he wasn't going to make it.
And he accepted it, and
he did it anyway.
Yes.
He didn't quite make it. I think he got to see it. He got to see it from
he got to see it from somewhere, and then
he died.
he didn't get in. So.
But so beloved was he that God Himself came down to bury him.
Yes.
And they say that he sits among him as a grand profit now, so
Yes.
it's like, there was still reward, but he didn't know that. He just did what
No,
he was
he didn't.
supposed to do.
Exactly.
It took him a little while. He, tried to pass it off on Aaron in the beginning, but he did it,
Exactly.
and he was still like, he was still rewarded in his own way.
Yes, he was. And it's truly amazing to me how much of from what we have in the Bible to what we're finding in today's reality there is. Like the cities that we're finding that match the biblical
Oh,
ones.
for sure. Yeah.
It's like some of it we were told, oh no, that was a myth.
Yeah.
And then there was Troy.
Yeah, when we were in school, it was
Considered a myth.
It was considered a myth, and now it is literally factual history.
Yes. It's factual Friday.
So, we get more and more, science uncovers more and more of the truth of biblical writings.
And I know there's been a lot more. I just can't think of it. Maybe I'll bring it up on another live. But there's been a lot more that I've seen. And it's the biblical stuff that they're finding, like swords.
Oh, yeah, the Ark. There was a sword that they just found from like Moses's age, from Moses' age. It's still gold, still shining. And still has a nick in it from the last bottle it was in. That's freaking awesome.
But it probably broke pretty easy. I mean, if we learned anything from Minecraft, gold doesn't go very far.
I told him, I said, in reality, gold is actually really weak, and then it actually is in Minecraft. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But they possibly have found the Ark. They know where Moses crossed, not necessarily the Red Sea, but like a smaller like peninsula lake, maybe. They think
they found where he actually crossed.
And it's like, I don't care how much science they use to explain it, it still doesn't make it any less miraculous.
It doesn't. No.
It's like they were told this. Somebody told them that.
Because he had to be there that exact moment that it happened.
Right.
And then cross it and get over there the exact moment that it stopped.
Right. They say that perhaps there was some time spent among like the native tribes in that area, and so they would have known. But that's still divine.
Yes.
That's still taking that intuition and taking a chance.
Exactly.
Faith that's like completely divine. And it's
yes.
There's no faith in this world, and nobody wants to suffer or struggle.
They don't. No.
That's a very unfortunate thing, and it's like between the regretful parents, anti-natalist. I mean, very bleak outlooks.
Yes.
All of them. Child free by choice. It's very, very bleak, very sad.
It is. It really is.
And they need some faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back to this.
I want to get education. I want to work and travel. I want to live again and fall in love with life again. I used to travel a lot back in my early 20s. I always took part in some exchange programs in Europe. Got to see a lot. I met amazing people. My son's about to be 3, and I'm just not having it. I've been contemplating just leaving them and starting my life somewhere else.
Ooh.
Another post says, I hate my children, both of them. They're 2 and 1, and I hate every single second they're awake. I can't sleep peacefully. I can't.
All right.
I'm starting to see a trend here too, though. All of these children, for the most part, have been under the age of 3.
Yeah.
And I can attest to the fact that there's not a lot of connection and stuff that happens before that. It's like around 3, they might start like getting a personality.
Yeah, getting that personality that makes them truly who they are.
Right. It's like they're learning and growing, and it's like it can be cute, but it's like, I get that. Like the bonding doesn't come in until like a little bit later. It's like there's like levels of bonding.
Like it's nighttime, walking out to our kitchen with the light flickering, to our son holding up a thing of frosting. Do you want some?
It was the creepiest thing. It was seen right out of a horror flick. All right, so let me set the setting here. Okay, we have the light, right? That's broken. And like he said, it was flickering because he tried to turn it on. Well, apparently that's not enough lighting, because it's like we walk out and we hear this scuffling around, and all you can see is the door to the fridge open, and the dull light, and then the flickering. And on the walls, there appears to be blood or crap all over the walls, all over the light switch. And you get a little bit closer. And I mean, I remember that I went out first and I started to go, and then I saw that and I backed my ass up and I went back here and got you. I'm like, you've got to see this. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, I don't know if he's possessed or what, because he's like on the ground like Gollum, the crouch in front of the refrigerator. The drawer is open. There's fork, knife all over the ground. Finally, there's a spoon taken. And that's what he does. Yeah, he sits down. He's like crouched on the balls of his feet, and his back stiffens. And he looks over his shoulder at us, and he's got frosting all over his face, and he's like, "Frosting? You want some?" But it was like, so it wasn't blood or crap. It was just frosting on everything, and I'm assuming you didn't have enough lighting, and
You had to keep the fridge open
I
for
don't
lighting.
know, but it
yeah,
was
that
it
was fun.
it was an experience. It was really funny though. It was like,
I mean, it wasn't fun to clean up, and
no,
and we had to teach him the reason not to do that.
right.
But
just like I mean, I might get thrown under the bus here, but like the time that he drank my wine,
yeah,
it was like it was just sitting there, and he was probably about the same age, about 4, maybe 3 or 4, and he started acting real weird. And like was all dizzy and stuff and falling all over the place. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh, I drank the mom juice. And I'm like, oh my God. So, because I used to drink big glasses, luckily it was just that little plastic glass at the time.
Yeah.
But he drank the whole thing. He drank the whole thing.
There was
So
a video I just saw today, and it was funny. And it was a father. He was playing on his phone, and a kid was in one of the walkers. Kid walked over in the walker, one of the things, had the guy's cup, and it was beer.
Oh.
And I mean, the guy's just on the phone doing this,
Uh-huh.
and the kid's just sitting away drinking it.
Oh my God.
And he's still doing it. I mean, all of a sudden he looks over and notices, like after, I don't know, like a minute, and he's like, oh no. And he's like,
He's in a walker.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's very young.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks. Well, luckily, as long as you hydrate,
Yeah.
it's like they're not going to get toxicity from something like that.
And things happen.
Yeah, it does.
I mean-
they do. And it's like I'm finding out more now because he's more honest with me, but it's like I found out he used to get into a lot more stuff than I thought he did. So it's like, those first 2 years are really hard.
Yes.
And you are pretty well, like you're overwhelmed and checked out.
Yeah, and we've known some of our other friends that she was in even worse conditions, and
the child went away and went down the road and almost into the creek.
Yeah.
I mean, holy crap.
I mean, things happen.
Right, so it's like I see this trend that they're like about 1 to 3.
Yeah.
And it's like that's kind of like a normal way to feel about it. But to sit there and say that like, that they took the best things away from your life, it's just not true.
Yes, exactly.
It's like you're actually as being a mother and a martyr or a father and a martyr, you
Exactly.
You are now doing the best things that you could possibly do.
Yes.
It's like just do it right. Don't raise little
Goblins.
shitheads that are gonna like mess with my offspring later on.
Crotch goblins.
I hate that term. It makes sense in some cases.
Yes.
Can't eat. I can't even take it
Oh, shit.
peacefully. I'm tired of this life. I'm the only one with them 24/7. I'm so sick of it. My partner is useless. All he says is they're babies and something's wrong with me. How could I dislike my own children? In a similar vein, someone says, my daughter just turned 5 and I was already regretful about having her and having no love for her. We treat her well and I say I love her and all that jazz to not mess up her childhood, but she has now been diagnosed with selective mutism, which is a type of anxiety disorder where she can't speak in public or to anyone outside her immediate family. Her teacher says she doesn't speak a word at school and her peers keep asking her why she doesn't talk. I already hated life as a parent. Now I have to deal with psychologist appointments.
Oh my
What a
God.
joke of a life I've gotten myself into. These have mostly been mothers so far with these posts, but there are also some dads are on the forum. I'll read one of those just, to be egalitarian about it. Just day after day after day, and it never ends and it never changes. Incessant bickering, screaming, slapping, kicking, biting, fighting over every possible tiny goddamn little thing. When all my attempts for diplomacy fail and I finally snap and yell at them to stop, they act absolutely shocked and hurt by how mean dad is, and it works. I end up feeling terrible and apologizing to them, and on and on and on it goes.
Problem.
My brain and nerves are completely shot. I don't understand how.
You feel bad and you apologize. Okay, no, you are the father figure. You are the one that is supposed to step up and show and be that role model and be that wall.
Yeah. If it comes down to where you have to put it down,
Yes, then do
You
it.
don't backpedal and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." It's like you guys put me in that position.
Because all they're gonna do,
I asked you.
yeah, all they're gonna do is do it again. Then,
Exactly.
oh, okay, I can walk all over
Yeah,
him. It's
exactly.
cool.
They act shocked.
Yeah.
But they're not shocked. That's exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah,
And they want you to lose your cool so that they have the upper hand, and then you're all children.
exactly.
So just put it down and be like, "You put me in that position."
Enough.
You
You
should-
don't need to do
Yeah, you
this.
should have listened. People are very soft in their parenting techniques these days.
Exactly.
How they seem to thrive in that level of dysfunction. I know kids are dramatic and all, but I know I was never like that as a kid. It's bonkers. A lot of frustration there, to put it mildly. I understand parenting frustration. I don't understand hating your kid or most of what we just read there. But frustration, sure. When you have, as we did, 2 sets of twins, 6 kids total, you experience frustration. Our last set of twins were both colicky as infants. If you know anything about colic in an infant, you know that we dealt with about 6 months of constant crying, morning, noon, and night, from 2 babies, while also having 4 other kids to take care of. I'm not saying that that's the hardest parenting experience anyone's ever had, but it's definitely not entry-level stuff that we were dealing with. So I've been in the trenches, and therefore I think I have some credibility to say the things that I'm going to say to all of these people and anyone who might find themselves relating to what I just read. First, a lot of parents who feel this level of anger and despair to the point of actually regretting having kids, it's at least partly because their kids are out of control and totally unruly. The kids are running the house, bouncing off the walls, ruling the roost, and you're at wit's end. Here's the good news about that, and it will sound like bad news, but it's actually good news, is that it's your fault. It's totally your fault. You are 100% to blame. Your kids are out of control because you are out of control. And I don't mean that you're yelling and screaming and losing your temper, though you might be. But even when you have your temper in check, you're still being ruled by your emotions. You are, I'm going to assume, angry, sullen, visibly overwhelmed, overcome by frustration. Well, the problem is that your kids pick up on that. They see it. And it's not just that they're imitating your lack of emotional regulation, though they are. More importantly, they see that you are projecting a lack of control, a loss of command, and they lose respect for you and your rules as a result. And that's natural. When a leader seems flustered, his followers become disturbed. And if this state of being flustered continues or happens over and over again, eventually they lose faith in his ability to lead. People listen to my show know that I'm kind of a nerd about reading stories of explorers. Sometimes in these stories, something that happens are mutinies. And very often a mutiny happens because you've got a ship full of men in some uncharted part of the world. And if the men on the ship whose lives depend on the captain, if they perceive that the captain doesn't know what he's doing, is afraid, is frustrated, indecisive, overwhelmed by the responsibility that he has taken on, if the men on the ship notice that, if they perceive it, they lose faith in his leadership, and then there's a mutiny. So what's happening in some of these households is your kids it's a mutiny. They're staging a mutiny, although
women feel that as well, with men, with the men that they're with. I feel that almost instantly. It's like, I know we tell you to be open and vulnerable with your emotions, but the minute you start to express some sort of doubt, it creates something in us that it's like, oh shit, you don't have this under control. And then it's like, there's a total lack of security. And
exactly.
So it's like, then I start compensating for that by being the aggressive one and trying to take charge and all of that, so it's probably pretty common among modern women.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
So it makes them revert back to their survival instincts. So, animals do it too.
Yeah.
Like when he was in a really bad mood and trying to work with one of the dogs, and the dog will give you all kinds of hell, because
it can.
Because you're in a bad mood and you're like not sure of yourself and you're distracted, and so every creature like picks up on that.
Yes,
absolutely.
It does.
And as the man of the household, you have to have that.
You have to know how to compose yourself.
Right. You have to have a calm, confident presence in order for everybody to follow the line. Yeah. But a lot of men, I don't think they know how to be that way, particularly living with modern women.
See, that's the bigger problem, because modern women need to back off and let the men do it.
Right.
Now, if the man is able to do it, a lot of times it goes fine, it goes well, everything's good. But when the woman tries to jump in and do it, like before the man has shown his inability to do it, then there becomes greater issues in the relationship.
Like with the children, it should be like a hierarchy, right? Like,
yes,
especially if they're young, the mother should be able to relatively keep them in check.
Yep.
And if she can't, and dad has to step in, then it's like, as long as he's stepping up with the calm authority and putting his foot down, saying this is how it's going to be, then she needs to back off.
Of course.
But it's like a lot of times like, well, I'm raising them.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
And then they get on TikTok and they're like, oh, I have to do everything myself.
It's big. That's really big right now.
Right. Like the weaponized incompetence thing.
Yes.
You know, it's like, dude, just tell them. You know, every creature has to go through a training process.
Yes, very
It's
much
like,
so.
I don't care if they say that isn't right or it doesn't seem fair. It's like, yeah, they're, you know, train them, you know, train,
Yes.
shepherd your husband in the right direction, you know, learn how to do it as gently as possible.
Yes.
But, you know, by all means, shepherd him in the right direction and follow his leadership. And then, like, the kids should follow in suit.
Yeah, they
You
should,
know?
for sure.
Because then the mother's not displaying so much disrespect, so the children are going to start falling into line and not showing so much disrespect.
Yes.
And again, we're talking about really young children here, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's like, you
And
know,
especially his. I think his are pretty young.
and is this the one that had the selective mutism? Or was it the one before that?
I think this one did.
Yeah, well,
Or-
that's because they're picking up on your inability to lead and your insecurities. You know?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, that's usually what mutism comes from. So
Exactly.
lack of confidence.
Yes.
Alrighty, sorry.
It's all right.
Their reasons behind it are mostly unconscious for the kids in it. Now, what makes this good news is that it's very fixable. All you have to do is put on a convincing front. Fake it till you make it. As some very wise philosopher once said, project the appearance of being in control, of being in command, of being unbothered, of being unflustered, happy, good-humored. You don't have to feel that way. Just pretend that you feel that way. And yes, it is a virtue to fake it in those cases. This idea that we should never, we need to be true to ourselves and be honest about our emotions. No, you shouldn't be. In fact, you should not be honest about your emotions most of the time. Like most of what you're feeling should not be known to the people around you, and especially when you're a parent. And you combine that attitude or the appearance of that attitude with consistent guidelines, clear rules, and clear consequences for breaking the rules, and you'll no longer have this level of dysfunction in your home. Your children will not be in a constant state of war with each other and you. And you may be able to enjoy their company and your own life as a consequence. Like many of you this summer, I intend to spend more time with my family, getting outside, traveling, letting go of some of my routine. But one routine I won't be letting go of is my prayer routine. I'll continue my daily habit of prayer.
Catholic.
Yep. Try hollow.
So you know they're not going to. He's not going to stray away from struggles and suffering.
No.
Because it's another virtue for Catholics.
Like I said, colic on
Today at hallow.com/Matt Walsh, hallow.com/Matt Walsh for an exclusive 3-month free trial of all 10,000 prayers and meditations. Second, happiness is a matter of focus. Happy people focus on the aspects of things that make them happy. Unhappy people focus on the aspects that make them unhappy.
Yeah, it is. Let's see.
Yeah, I was making sure it wasn't my eyes. I'm like, there we go. Yeah.
I don't know why I did that. Must have downgraded internet or something. Stand box. We're going to get you a better setup.
Happy. That seems so basic that it doesn't even need to be said, but it's a basic thing that we often lose sight of. And this especially applies to parenting. If you're an unhappy parent, it's because you're choosing to focus on all of the things that you want to do but can't because you have kids, and the things that you have to do but don't want to do. For the people who wrote these laments that I just read, this focus for them has become obsessive. All they can think about is the stuff they don't want to have to do, but they have to do. And the stuff that they would prefer to do, but they can't do. And so they're just whining all the time in their heads and now on Reddit. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it anymore. This is hard. I don't want to have to do these things. I want to travel. Look, it's a choice that you have made to focus your attention on those things. There are so many things in life you could focus on, and you decided to focus on the fact that you can't travel to Europe or whatever. So your unhappiness is a choice. You've decided to be miserable and wallow in your misery, and you could stay there forever.
I mean, there's been a lot that we have not gotten to do because of having kids. But at the same time, there's been so much more that we've gotten to do as a family.
Right. The experiences
especially this last year.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's like our son's 8th grade trip. I got to go on it with him, and it was a week-long trip to the state capital, Sacramento, and to San Francisco. And I mean, I would have never done any of that. Got to see any of that. I got to see Alcatraz, one of the coolest places, you know, as far as prisons go. I got to go see that with my son and his whole class.
Yeah.
It was cool because we got our own hotel room, my son and I, because, you know.
He was the odd one.
Yeah, he was the odd one out, so we got our own. So, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's like and the experiences are so much richer because you're sharing it with your bloodline. It's something that's going to be solidified with them forever.
Yeah.
But it's like he's absolutely right about that being a choice. He was just like the lady used to go up and visit and work with her kids and everything, always saying, "Oh, I can't get to the store. I can't go shopping. I can't do this. I can't do that." And when she would do something for her daughter, it'd be like, well, it's not really going to matter in the big scheme of things. She's not going to remember. And I know it really just doesn't matter. Oh, man, that set me off so bad. It's like,
you finally went off on it.
It wasn't that bad.
And I was like...
I didn't go off. Not in the way that I
go
off on you guys or the animals,
No, but I was like, oh, great, here we go. Because I know that she wouldn't take it well.
He's my anchor of, like, finding out how I'm doing in a social situation. It's like if I feel like I'm saying something that might be too much, I glance over and I look at his face to see how he's reacting. If he looks uncomfortable or he's looking down, I'm like, oh, I've gone too far. But it's like I don't feel that I'm that harsh either. I'm just saying, this is not right. You're not. I think I said, no, you're not gonna do this today. I think that was the worst thing that I said. But I was like, you're making it about you on your daughter's birthday. I get that.
But see, even just mentioning that she made it about herself brings up more white guilt.
Right.
And so it's the worst thing in the world that you can do to one of the woke.
Right. She got up and she did the same thing when I was in the middle of talking to her, and she got up and walked to the kitchen.
Yeah.
Didn't even tell me, hold on a second, or tell me, I can't hear you, or ask me to come along. She was just she just got up and defaulted and walked the freak away. And I gave her compliments too. I said, like, this looks great. This is so awesome. You did this awesome job for your daughter. Look at this cake that you made and all that. And then she still said, oh, it doesn't really matter. She's not going to remember anything.
I know.
Like, she's going to remember her 12th birthday because it's like her last childhood birthday.
And if that is the case, then why did you even bring it up?
Right, exactly. That's the other thing. And never happy. Only one day out of an entire year did she say that she had a good day.
And she had 2 beautiful kids.
Yeah. And I mean, she had struggles, I guess, but she didn't ever really look like she was struggling.
No.
She was always sitting in front of the TV and smoking her dabs, and she had a house, and she had cars, and she had, not really a husband, but like a long-term boyfriend.
Yeah.
The father of the children, right?
Yeah.
She had so much, and she just never had a good day. So.
And I mean, Caleb was a special kid, man.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, he was special needs.
But no, I mean, he was...
I know he was special.
Yeah.
I mean, he was good with animals. The reason we started talking was he got off the bus and went running over and grabbed a hold of Rain's head and pulled her in and started freaking out, oh God, the wolf's going to eat him. And I'm like, oh, but look. I'm like, look at this, like she was afraid of kids and stuff. And she
was focused on him.
Yeah,
it was the connection there.
And then him sitting out here on the grass and all the dogs being really protective, licking him in the head and stuff.
Yeah.
And circling around, make sure that he was good and safe. And Claudia here on the bed who'd roll around with her and everything. And
yes.
He was nonverbal, but he said so much.
He did. You could still hear it.
Like no verbal communication, but I mean, it was so clear what he was trying to do and say. I never had a problem.
No.
But she couldn't be bothered with him. Every time he'd come out and ask for something, go back in your room, go watch Bluey. You want to put Bluey on, and sit him in front of the TV all day. Didn't take him outside,
Maybe the daughter would occasionally.
Yeah, if I asked her.
Yeah.
And usually only because Tristan was there to do the same thing.
Yeah.
He was like kind of going up to hang out with him too, because she didn't treat him very good either.
No, and he didn't really have very many friends at the school that they all went to.
Kind of, he had a walker.
Yeah.
And stuff because he had, problems with his motor functions and stuff. So he didn't really get to interact with a lot of other kids.
Exactly.
At school. And he was so resentful those last 2 years that he was going to that school because he couldn't understand why we weren't hanging out anymore.
I know. It's like, she walked away and that was it and wouldn't talk to us anymore. Didn't want any interaction with us. And so he kept trying to be like, oh, You know, like
I come to your party.
come to your party. Let's go have fun. But he couldn't. And he didn't understand why. He thought we were dodging him.
Right, and that. See, again, not thinking about the kids, not thinking about how much progress the daughter had made.
Yeah.
How she had started turning her life around. They don't think about that. It's I'm uncomfortable. You made me uncomfortable.
Yes.
I'm done with you. You know.
Bye.
Like woke before woke was even known to me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we found out woke was quick on that one.
Yeah, even a couple of years later, I had no idea until I started looking at these people and how they were dressed the same that she was, and how they did her hair the same. Then I was like, oh my god, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So even way out here, it's infected a few of them.
It has.
But yeah, you might. You're gonna want to finish this.
Yeah, it's got 6 minutes, so.
Wallowing in it if you want, and then you'll be unhappy and miserable your whole life. In the process, you'll alienate everybody around you. Your kids will grow to resent you and want nothing to do with you. And then they'll get older and they'll be adults and they won't be as difficult anymore. And you're going to want to have a relationship with them at that point because it's easy now because they're out of the house, and they're going to have grandkids and you're going to want to see the grandkids because grandkids are easy, but your kids are not going to want to have that relationship. And you're going to spend the rest of your life feeling victimized. Oh, my kids ignore me. They don't come over. They don't bring the grandkids over. Why should they? You were awful to them.
Yep.
You did the bare minimum their whole childhood. You put no effort in. Like, you fed them and clothed them. You have to do that. But you had a bad attitude about it the entire time. You made the home an excruciating environment for them to live in. You spent the whole time whining. Why the hell would they want a relationship with you? A relationship with who? There's no relationship here. So that's how it can go if you choose that.
Yep.
The only person who can choose otherwise is you. The only person who can fix the problem is you. Nobody else can. Your kids certainly can't.
Nope.
Now, I've never felt like I regretted being a parent, nor have I ever had feelings of hatred towards my children, for God's sake. But I have experienced anger, frustration, sadness as a parent. I have thrown plenty of pity parties for myself, like any parent does, because my parenting duties require me to do stuff I don't want to do and don't allow me to do the stuff that I do want to do. So I get that. Like, I've been there. And I found that the way out of it is pretty simple. It's just about redirecting my attention. I can choose to redirect it or not. It really is up to me. So here's a relatable example, one that is, millions of parents encounter something like this every day. So I get home from work most days around 5:30 or 6. Contrary to popular opinion, I actually work long days, and I work hard, believe it or not. Media is a stressful gig, and then I sit in traffic for 45 minutes. You know, it's not that bad. A lot of people sit in traffic for longer, but still, 45 minutes in traffic. And then I come home to a house full of kids who are talkative and needy and wanting my attention. So every time I walk in the door every day, I have a choice to make, and it's a very distinct choice. It's so distinct that it may as well be two different doors I'm walking. There's the happy door, or the annoyed, overwhelmed, sad door. I'm either a stressed out, sad sack forced to come home to a noisy house with a bunch of needy kids who won't give me a chance to decompress, damn it. Or I'm an incredibly blessed man, privileged to come home each night to a lively home full of fun, rambunctious children and a wife who loves me. I could be either one of those. It's completely up to me. And the thing is, when I walk in the door, the environment, what I'm walking into is the same. It is entirely up to me how I choose to perceive it. And if I choose the sad, miserable door, I have no one to blame but myself. My third point, and this goes to really, this is advice, universal advice for everybody. Stop venting, okay? You've done enough venting. And I know everybody says that we have to vent. We have to release our tension in the form of these self-pitying, overly dramatic big sessions. And if we don't, we'll explode or something. But that's bull. Forums like this Reddit forum, they should not exist. These are awful places. Having a place to anonymously voice your darkest and most unspeakable emotions and thoughts in order to then be assured by other anonymous people that it's totally normal to feel that way and to be encouraged in your basest impulses and most dysfunctional modes of thought is bad. The advice is terrible. I mean, it's just awful. There was one post, her young son is about to be his birthday, and she's not happy about his birthday and not excited about it. Which again, it's like, okay, so you're not excited about his birthday. Deal with it. Like, it's his birthday, it's not yours. Pretend you're excited. Damn it, stop being selfish. But one of the pieces of advice was, well, on the day of his birthday party, just leave the house and have some time to yourself. Don't tell anyone, just leave and come back at night. Like, this is your advice? It's the worst possible thing. abandon your child on their birthday because you're sad? This is what you get from these forums. And the reason that you get it is because the people that are there leaving comments, they are not encouraging you or trying to reassure you. They're trying to reassure themselves. They have these awful thoughts and feelings about their own family and their children, and they're trying to find a place where other people are saying the same things so that they can tell themselves it's not so terrible to feel this way. You shouldn't hate your children. It is wrong to have that emotion.
Exactly.
It's possible to have wrong emotions. Like, it's bad to have that. You shouldn't feel that way. There's something wrong with you morally. It is morally wrong to have that feeling. The level of anger expressed by most of these people is wrong. Having this kind of disdain for your family is wrong. Venting this kind of stuff doesn't get it off your chest. You know, it's not like opening a window in the bathroom to air out the smell. It's more like a gust of wind on a campfire.
Yeah.
All it does is make the flame grow and spread until it's completely out of control. And next thing, your whole life is set on fire. And that's what these Reddit forums do. You should realize that this feeling is wrong. It's not normal. It's not okay to feel that way about your children. The problem is you. It's not your child. It's you. Your children didn't do anything wrong. You are doing the wrong thing, and you need to fix it. So sure, go talk to a therapist if you can find a good one. Big if there, but if you can find a good one. Talk to a spiritual advisor, even better.
Yeah, right.
Talk to a priest, talk to a pastor. But after all the talking, it comes back to you. You owe it to your child to give him your love.
In this day and age, even if you can't afford a therapist or don't trust a therapist, there's so many YouTube videos that talk about the opposite end of this stuff, but they don't watch that. They only continue to read and watch things that support their mental illness.
Exactly.
And there's really no reason for that because there's a wealth of information, whether you find it in text or on YouTube and videos.
Yes.
That can help you like sort through some of those
absolutely
dark thoughts.
Yes.
You know, I mean, and because like, you know, with the healthcare situation in the United States, especially regarding like mental health, is crap.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
By far.
It's like it either they validate what you're doing, or they don't really offer any help at all. So I see that. Yeah, I can see why people kind of don't. They're kind of stuck with that. But it's not far above them to look it up themselves.
Exactly.
And do their own research.
And see what they can do to better themselves.
Yeah, like literally Google, why do I hate my child? Why am I regretful? You know, just Google that.
What are some options for why I'm feeling this way?
Yeah, how can I not feel this way? You know, I mean, like just go on a deep dive of looking for this, because it's like obviously people struggle with that.
Oh, majorly, yeah.
But mostly what this subreddit is being used for is, again, the Child Free by Choice platform. They go and they show you this stuff.
See, this is why you shouldn't have children.
Right.
You want to feel like this? Well, you know, that's not okay to feel like, so you shouldn't have kids.
And it's like, maybe I agree with 90% of it, but what about like people like me who was foursquare set against it?
Yes.
And then did change her mind once I had children.
Exactly.
You need to hear those stories too, because it does sometimes heal your mental anxieties and stuff. Sometimes it just takes it away.
Yes.
You know, that was my case, and there was a few other women that I talked to that had the same experience.
Exactly.
Like it reset their hormones or something. And they were all of a sudden they were able to like think right and sleep right and eat right. And you know, they need to have those stories put there too.
Oh God! And every one of these stories needs to get put out there.
Yeah,
because you never know who it's going to help.
Right, and it's like I understand why they want to share their experience, but it's like that's the only side they're coming from.
Yeah,
and they're always talking about like how everybody else is saying, "Oh, kids are great," and this. I don't really hear that often anymore.
No,
I don't see that too much.
No, but that needs to get put out there too, more.
And honestly, though, like not like the trad wife thing that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Like honest. Yeah, we're having a shitty day today, but then the next clip is great. You know, it's like, see, we came through that, we're fine now, and it's like, and be honest about it.
Exactly.
So
or no, that lasted like 2 or 3 days, but now look.
Yeah, right. And it's like I have found that most of the things that you're worried about, like, either never happened, like Don Petty says.
Never happened anyway.
Or they do in fact work themselves out.
Yes.
You know, it's like I was thinking about all the problems that had like complaints and things that used to bother me, mostly about like the neighbors and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think over time they solved themselves, and over
Yes.
more time, more will solve themselves because these people are elderly.
Yeah.
And
It'll come to an end
so
soon.
in 30 years we'll be where they are, but less miserable, and they'll be long since gone.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
with nothing left to their name.
right. So I mean, everything does kind of have a way of working itself out.
Oh, it does for sure.
I used to complain about I was afraid of Nikki, up the road, and
Now we've got no issue with
but
that.
and I don't see her at all anymore.
No.
She's gone. She doesn't cause problem for anybody anymore.
No.
The neighbor's goat used to make noise 24/7 sometimes when she was gone.
I know. Oh.
And that solved itself. I mean, everything does kind of in its own time solve itself.
It does, for
And so
sure.
it's like if you just keep doing what you're supposed to do and change your mindset,
Yes.
I just firmly believe that most of these people could come through a lot of their insecurities about that.
Oh yeah, they can, for sure, by far.
But they need to have faith, and they need to not be afraid of suffering.
Exactly. Suffering is just another part of life.
Drink it up.
Know that, ladies and gentlemen, suffering is part of life.
Yep. And drink it up like wine, because it also doesn't last forever.
No. And suffering lets you know you are still alive.
Yep. That's true.
All right, let's get this finished, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a nice long live. So,
About hour 15.
In fact, you owe it to your family to be happy. Happiness is a responsibility, and it is a choice. And right now, you're making a choice that is destroying you and your family. And it will continue to until you stop making it.
he didn't end it.
It's just clip.
When you see me suspended and unable to reply to anyone, that's why.
That's the last one that I got.
That's all we're doing.
Yeah, we'll move on now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Look forward to it Wednesday. It's going to be a special live. We're going to have some fun with it. Let me know on comments or whatever. Just let me know somehow. Or maybe I'll put a poll up too.
Yeah, there you go.
And let me know what you guys want to see with me going to the fair. You want to see me walk up to some people and talk? I mean, let me know. We'll do what we can.
Do some man on the street interviews.
Yep.
And or we can just display our family fun adventure.
Yes.
Or do a little bit of both. I don't know. But then next Friday we'll start working on the next dark subject, which will probably be the dark world of anti-natalists.
Okay.
Natal means children. Anti means against.
Yeah.
So they're literally against children. There's some dark thoughts on that. I mean,
It'll be interesting.
pretty gross if you ask me.
It'll get deep, I'm sure of it.
I kind of almost used to be one. I used to think that the world was overpopulated and all this as well. But then again, you look on the other side of things.
Yes.
And just being like in biology and like working kind of as a biologist for years, studying how reproductive sets work.
Yes.
I had wolves, horses, cats, and mice, and I also the same pattern. The big bubble
Yes.
of population, and then a very sharp decrease.
Exactly.
So you start to put those together and think, well, maybe it isn't as bad as we thought.
There's a lot of that. I mean, you really start looking at a lot of life.
The cities are overpopulated.
Yes.
But it's more of a mindset shift again.
Yes, it is.
But they're like, they made this disgusting picture, and they're like, we're gonna make it a card, and it was like this baby consuming a bunch of like Burger King stuff and everything, and they're like, congratulations on your little consumer. Like,
yes,
it doesn't have to be that way.
That's how they make it, though.
But you can raise the resistance. You can breed the resistance.
Yes.
That's my main thing. It's like these people that are opting out, that are good people that should be having children, they're opting out and leaving our children to have to deal with like all the corporate children that are going to be raised as the enemy. So, it's like breed better people.
Exactly. That's what we've been saying all night long, ladies and gentlemen. Be the change, breed
Better.
the resistance. Be better.
Yeah, always be better.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
That's it.
Namaste. Like I said, join us Wednesday. It'll be a special one. Not sure what time yet we're going to start. It might be a couple of different smaller lives or something throughout the night. We'll see.
We may try to live stream the concert that's going to be playing. It's going to be Shaggy.
Yeah, Shaggy.
So, I mean, I could do it from...
We'll see. But if we do that, it'll be on a separate live stream on this channel, but it'll be a separate in case they take it down to copyright issues. I'm not sure how that'll work.
If they strike you, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Really?
Sorry.
But either way, we'll work something out. Okay, we'll have other lives. We'll do some stuff. We'll have some fun. You'll get to see it.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Namaste, ladies and gentlemen.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good job.
And again, thank you, new subscribers. I appreciate it. Like the videos. Join us here. Join us on any of these. Comment. I appreciate it.
We like to have a nice faith-based approach to our conversation. So
Yes.
have a good night.